In this video, I will discuss on how to determine the derivatives using increment of x and increment of y. From given continuous function, y is equals to functions of x. To determine the derivatives, there are 5 steps to follow. First, replace the value of y by y plus increment of y and the value of x by x plus increment of x. And the resulting equation is y plus increment of y is equals to functions of x plus increment of x. And the second step is to determine the value of increment of y in terms of x and y. And just transpose the value of y to the right side of the equation, so therefore we have now the value of increment of y, which is equals to functions of x plus increment of x minus y. And the third step is to solve the value of y in terms of x. Just substitute the value of y in terms of x, and in this case, the value of y from the given function is functions of x. So therefore, we have now increment of y is equals to functions of x plus increment of x minus functions of x. Then the fourth one, just divide the entire equation by increment of x. So therefore, we have now the increment of y all over increment of x is equals to functions of x plus increment of x minus functions of x divided by increment of x. And the fifth step is to determine the limit as increment of x approaches 0. Therefore, the derivatives now is equals to the limit as change in x approaches 0 of increment of y all over increment of x, or also equal to the limit as increment of x approaches 0 of functions of x plus increment of x minus functions of x divided by increment of x. Example number 1, y is equals to 2x plus 3. Using increment of y and increment of x, just replace the value of y into y plus increment of y and the value of x, which is x plus increment of x, and the resulting equation, which is equals to y plus increment of y, is equals to 2 times x plus increment of x plus 3. Next, transpose y to the right side of the equation and now becomes negative. And substitute the value of y, which is equals to 2x plus 3, and therefore increment of y is equals to 2 times x plus increment of x plus 3 minus the value of y, which is 2x plus 3. Then remove the parentheses by using multiplication. Increment of y, therefore, is equals to 2 times x is equals to 2x, and 2 times increment of x is equals to 2 increment of x plus 3 minus times 2x is equals to negative 2x minus times 3, which is equals to negative 3. Then combine similar terms or simplify. So therefore, we have now the increment of y, which is equals to 2 times increment of x. Then the fourth step is we're going to divide the entire equation by change in x or increment of x. So therefore, you have now increment of y divided by the increment of x, to increment of x divided by increment of x. So increment of x will be cancelled out, and the value of increment of y divided by the increment of x, which is equals to 2. And the last step is we're going to establish the limit as increment of x approaches 0. Therefore, the limit as increment of x approaches 0 of increment of y divided by the increment of x, which is equals to 2. And that is the derivatives of y is equals to 2x plus 3, therefore is equals to 2. Second example, determine the derivatives of y is equal to x squared minus 2. So we have the same process, just replace y by y plus increment of y as well as x by increment of x. And in this case, we have now y plus increment of y, which is equal to the quantity and the value of x in terms of x plus increment of x, then squared minus 2. Then transpose y to the right side of the equation, and now that is becomes negative. And substitute the value of y, therefore we have now the increment of y, which is equals to the quantity x plus increment of x squared minus 2 minus the value of y, which is equals to x squared minus 2. And the next is we're going to expand the given equation. So we have now increment of y, x plus increment of x squared, which is equals to x squared plus 2x increment of x plus increment of x squared. Then just copy negative 2 and multiply negative 1 times x squared, that is becomes negative x squared, and negative 1 times negative 2, that is becomes positive 2. Next, combine similar terms. So we canceled out our x squared minus x squared is equal to 0, as well as negative 2 plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, we have now the increment of y, which is equals to 2x plus increment of x plus increment of x squared. And the next is we're going to divide the entire equation by increment of x. So therefore, increment of y divided by the increment of x, 2x times increment of x plus increment x squared divided by increment of x. Next, factor the numerator since the common factor, which is increment of x. So therefore, we have now increment of y divided by the increment of x, which is equal to the increment of x times the quantity 2x plus increment of x divided by increment of x. So therefore, we have now the value of the increment of y divided by the increment of x, which is equal to 2x plus increment of x. And the last one, we're going to establish the limit as increment of x approaches 0, and that is what we call the derivatives of the given function. So therefore, the limit as increment of x approaches 0 of increment of y all over increment of x is equals to 2. Example number 3. Determine the derivatives of y is equals to 1 all over x. So we have the same procedure, just replace the value of y into y plus increment of y, as well as the denominator x into x plus increment of x. And now the resulting equation is y plus increment of y is equals to 1 all over x plus increment of x. To solve for the value of increment of y, just transpose y to the right side of the equation and now becomes negative. And substitute the value of y in terms of x. So we have now the value of increment of y is equals to 1 all over x plus increment of x minus the value of y in terms of x, which is 1 all over x. Next, combine fraction. So increment of y is equals to x minus the quantity x plus increment of x divided by x times the quantity x plus increment of x. Remove the parentheses, so therefore we have now the increment of y, which is equals to x minus increment of x all over x times x plus increment of x. To combine the numerator, we have now increment of y, which is equals to increment of x divided by x times x plus increment of x. And then the next is divide the entire equation by increment of x. So therefore, we have now increment of y all over increment of x is equals to negative increment of x divided by x times the quantity x plus increment of x times increment of x. Increment of x will be cancelled out, so therefore, we have now the increment of y all over increment of x is equals to negative 1 all over 1 times the quantity x plus increment of x. And now the derivative is we have to establish the limit as increment of x approaches 0, therefore, the limit as change in x approaches 0 of increment of y all over increment of x is equals to negative 1 all over x squared.